Welcome back to the program. So, before we get into the news of the day, just want to let you all know that the store is now moving forward with a lot of new items in it right now. We've got the hoodies are back, t-shirts, of course, hats are back, even polo shirts now are available, and we're gonna get some women's clothing coming in the next probably week or so as well. So check it out. I'm gonna put a post out in a couple of days with some of the images and new designs. I think you're all going to really like them. So I'll put that out in a couple of days. But what a horrific story out of Idaho today. I mean, my goodness. You got to be one sick individual to start a brush fire. And then when the firefighters come to put it out, they're not just dealing with fire, they're dealing with gunfire, okay? Because somebody had a sniper's rifle and was shooting at these firefighters. I mean, how sick and twisted is that? Sadly, two of them have died and many others are injured. So my thoughts and prayers obviously go out to the injured and to the ones that have passed, but so sick. I mean, from what I understand, the shooter was found dead. I don't know if it was self-inflicted or if maybe they got him from the air, helicopter, whatever, but he has been eliminated, so that's good. But just so sick. Who would do something as sick as that? Oh, let's start a fire, and then when the people come to put it out, we'll shoot them. I mean, that is just so sick, and it just goes to show you what kind of sick and twisted world we live in. So I don't know. That was the first story of the day. After that, let's talk about two pretty nasty things that have happened. So you may have heard about this band, and they're known as Bob Villain, right? Not Bob Dylan, Bob Villain. And this was, I guess, a concert or whatever, and it was in Britain, I think it was, or a British band in Glastonbury. Sorry, in Glastonbury, and they were just screaming anti-Semitic epithets. They were calling for the death of the IDF and everything else. So, long story short, Leo Terrell, remember Leo 2.0 on Fox News? Well, he's one of the main people in the anti-Semitic task force for the Department of Justice, and he has said that he is opening up an investigation into this, and probably into this band as well. So we'll see what happens with that. But how sick is that? I mean, it's so twisted, so twisted. You know, the Jew hatred that is going on, and the whole crowd was cheering this band on. This was not like they were booing him or anything like that, if you've seen some of the video. But, I mean, it's like, you've got this psychopath, Mamdani, literally calling for a global intifada. And then you have this idiot, this band, screaming, death to the IDF. I mean, this stuff has to stop. This has to stop. On a good note, they just eliminated the head and the mastermind behind the October 7th massacre. And according to Israel and Mossad, they have said, quote, "We will hunt down every single person involved with October 7th, and we will eliminate every single one of them, no matter how long it takes." So that's good, because we're going after the Jew haters, and that's what we have to do. So he's going to look into that. He's going to investigate that. We'll see what happens. Now, apparently, and I didn't even know this, apparently there might be somebody even higher than the Ayatollah. There's somebody called the Grand Ayatollah, which I had no idea. But anyway, the, quote, Grand Ayatollah, who is 98 years old, Grand Ayatollah Makaram Shirazi, has now issued a fatwa, which is basically a death warrant for President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. This went out today, as a matter of fact. And so apparently this person is over and above the regular Ayatollah. So Mossad, IDF, well, hey, you know what? I think that we cannot have death threats against the President of the United States, and we cannot have death threats against the Prime Minister of Israel. So I'll leave it at that, okay? We'll see what happens with that one. Now, we have lost two big rhinos, which is great news, okay? First was Don Bacon from Nebraska. He's gone. He's not going to seek re-election, so that's good. And then, of course, today, Tom Tillis. Now, they're going back and forth. They're fighting back and forth over the big, beautiful rewrite, as I've been calling it. Tom Tillis has said now that he's not going to seek re-election, which is good. It looks like Thomas Massey as well. He may not as well. So someone's going to try to primary him in the next election as well. So we're going to get rid of the people that don't want to go along with President Trump's agenda. Now, out of all the ones that we just mentioned, Massey, honestly, is a good congressman. He truly is. He wants to do what's right. So I'm not faulting him for the fact that he wants to put more tax cuts into the bill. The Freedom Caucus is saying the same thing. They want more tax cuts. What did I say when they passed it in the House? I said, this thing is backloaded. And if it's backloaded, it's not going to be good. Now, there's a lot of other great things in this bill. Excellent things. So here's the thing. I would say this. And again, this is, and I've told you this is how Washington operates. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. If you don't pass this bill, you're going to get a 68% increase in your taxes, right? And it's going to, destroy the economy. And this is what they do. It's panic porn. They've been using it. Doesn't matter which party. When they want something passed, they use panic porn. That's just the way it is. Now, the reality is that it will pass. Now, when is it going to pass? I'd say by this point, it's a 50-50 shot by the 4th of July. 50-50 shot. If we didn't have the Israel-Iran conflict, I would have said, no doubt about it, it'll pass before July 4th. Now, I'm not sure. I'm not sure there's enough time. I have a feeling they'll probably just squeak it in anyway because they don't want to leave for the weekend and all that, and the holiday weekend, and face their constituents, number one. And number two, they want to go and they want to celebrate and they want to say, look what we did for you, right? That's what it's all about. So again, as I said, there's a lot of good things in the bill, but the tax cuts are all backloaded still. My wish was that the Senate was going to take the House's bill and say, sorry guys, we need more of these tax cuts up front. Did they do it with some of them? Yes, they did. I bit my tongue earlier, so if I'm sounding a little weird, that's why. They did with some of them, but not enough. Clearly not enough. Elon Musk is saying, he's attacking the bill again. But look, the thing is with Elon is he's upset that his electric vehicle subsidies are bye-bye. That's number one. And number two, there was a ton, and I mean a ton, of spending that he was trying to get pushed in for all this new AI and robotics and all this other crazy stuff that we want to try to avoid, okay? So he actually made a comment saying that the spending in the bill is for, quote, old technology, not the new technology. Well, sorry, transhumanist Elon, we don't want that. And I'm sure that a lot of the spending that he was counting on was a lot of weird stuff with AI and robots and all this other crazy stuff. So that's my thoughts on that. But I don't know. I think it's going to probably pass. But here's the big question. Assuming it passes in the next couple of days, whenever it might be, right? Where are the spending cuts? How are you going to pay down the deficit? Our national debt, this is where Massey is correct. Our national debt is $37 trillion. When I wrote Preserving Liberty, okay, it was $34 trillion, and every single person was responsible for $267,000 per person. Now, in Chapter 5, Houston, we have a spending problem. I explain how many millionaires and billionaires they are, right? Then it was 22 million. Now it's actually 24 million. And I came up with a formula on how to pay off about maybe $10 trillion or so of the national debt. Well, I came up with something a little bit different here, okay? If we can pay down the national debt, then I really don't care how much quote unquote extra spending or whatever things they put in the bill that they're paying for later on or whatever. That won't matter on one condition. If they take the money from the $5 million gold cards and they put it towards the national debt. If they don't do that, then I would agree, this bill's not that good. It's got some good things in it, but there needs to be more tax cuts up front, not in the back, okay? So, listen to this. This is just some statistics that I came up with, and it's all accurate, and you can look it up yourself. There are 60 million millionaires worldwide, okay? 36 million millionaires live outside the United States of America. 24 million millionaires live inside the United States of America. So we account for 40% of all the world's millionaires, okay? Now, the national debt, like I said, it's $37 trillion. So let's just say for argument's sake, okay, you can take 10% of all of those millionaires outside of the United States. So 36 million millionaires, 10%, 3.6 million millionaires. Let's just say we can get 10% of all the millionaires that are outside the United States of America. If they all buy these $5 million gold cards, okay, that would create about $18 trillion of revenue. If you took that 18 trillion and you dumped it onto the debt is basically wiped in half just with that alone, okay? Now, the other thing I was talking about is now it is $323,000 per person in the United States of America based on the $37 trillion debt, okay? Now, we have 24 million millionaires. Like I said in my book in chapter 5, what if we offered those millionaires the opportunity to pay a one-time fee of $323,000 for their taxes in lieu of not having to pay taxes again? Okay? If we did that, we would bring in another, how much was it? Another 7.7 trillion. You take the 18 and the 7.7, you have about $10.3 trillion left. If we could get out of President Trump's term in office only owing $10 trillion on the national debt, my goodness, okay? My goodness, would that be absolutely incredible. You want to talk about wealth in this country? If we could do something like that? Now, here's the thing. It's a possibility that we could sell that many. Right now, there are 70,000 on back order. Now, the reason they're on back order, here's what this means. According to Ludnick, he basically said that these people have said, we want to do this. And so, in a lot of cases, they have already put up that money, and now they're just going through the vetting process. See, this gold card situation takes a long time, and that's a good thing, because we don't want these multimillionaires coming in here and all of a sudden they've got ties to terrorism, they've got ties to all these other crazy things, and then they have all the money in the world to spend on protesters and violent rioters and everything else. We don't want that. We don't want that. So in this case, it takes a long time. There's a waiting list, believe it or not, because it's going through a vetting process. So because of the vetting process and everything else, you're talking mid 2026, almost into 2027, before you would even get the waiting list already done. And if more and more and more are coming through, which again, he's doing trade deals and everything else, he's bringing in mineral rights from all around the world, he's bringing in the tariff money, so there's a lot of money coming in. There's going to be trillions, not billions, trillions of dollars coming in. So we can compensate a lot of this spending if we do it smart and we put it towards the national debt. But this is Washington, right? They like to spend our money, and then they like to spend our money even more, and they don't like to spend our national credit card and pay it off. That's the problem. Instead, what do? They call the bank, which is them, and they kick up the amount. Hey, we need another $10 trillion on our limit. Can you do that? Yeah, of course, you're the government. That's part of the problem. Well, maybe if we went back to a gold standard, we wouldn't have those types of issues. But that's a story for another day. So the bill is likely going to pass. And when it does, now we have to figure out how we can start paying down the national debt. It's like I said, it's got a lot of good things in it. It should create a lot of jobs, a lot of economic development and all that good stuff. But we're borrowing and we're adding and we're putting more and more money onto the national debt. This is how, if we did it this way, this is how we can pay it down. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.